The world won't understand you. Hey, but it's okay. Said the world won't understand you, 'cause I made you in my own way. Said the world won't understand you. Life may move fast, or it may move slow. I met a silly man who said he make it slow. We look up out towards space, or even at the sky. One that pass away, but never look inside. Breathe in, breathe out. Life is a maze, but we'll figure this out. I mean, human beings, I ain't got no doubt.
Hey, what's good, everybody? Welcome to episode 52 of In a Good Way podcast. Today's very special guest is Roxana Garcia. She's an amazing actress. She's also studying to be a voice actress, and she's a certified nutritionist. So welcome, Roxana. Thank you so much for being here. I'm honored.
Thank you, Omar, for having me.
No, absolutely.
I love the introduction.
Absolutely. No, it's deserved, right? It's well deserved. So, today's topic is something, it's different, but not so much because how I love that in your situation, there's a spiritual aspect to it, right? There's a lot of spirituality involved with it. But, we want to talk about, I don't know what the correct word is, right? If people prefer me to say breast augmentation, breast implants, but that's pretty much what this whole episode is about, right?
It's a breast, the term is, BII, Breast Implant Illness. So this happens after women get the breast implants, and it could take a while for them to actually get symptoms. And some women have reported, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
Okay. Some women have reported getting the implants, and within a week or two, they start feeling all these ugly symptoms and they start getting really ill. But some women, like me, for instance, it took me at least 6 years to start experiencing all the symptoms, all the terrible symptoms that you could imagine, and not understanding what was going on with my body. I'm like, why am I always sick? Why does it seem like every time I go to the doctor, they increase, like they give me a different pill, an extra prescription, because I'm sick about something, I have some type of symptom. So that was what I was going through.
So when you mentioned 6 years, so that's when you first got them, like 6 years?
I got them 10 years ago.
Okay.
Within, I'm gonna say like 5 to 6 years into it, that's when I started experiencing symptoms, and it just got worse. It's like I started feeling, I noticed that I just started getting a lot of allergies, food intolerances, like I was allergic to food, like I couldn't eat certain things. I had a lot of chronic infections in my nose, sinus infections, ear infections. I would stay sick for 3 months sometimes, thinking it was like a flu. And I would just go to doctors and they would tell me, well, it's just an allergy. It's just an allergy. And I'm like, doesn't feel like an allergy. Why you guys keep giving me antibiotics? And antibiotics, all they do is strip you away from the good microbiome, like the good bugs in your stomach. And it was just making it worse. And I'm like, but that's where it all started. I had asthma, I had anaphylactic shock. I would be rushed to the emergency room sometimes because I couldn't breathe through my nose. I would get so dizzy because it was so congested. I had to breathe through my mouth. I had to sleep with humidifiers. That's when it all began. And then from there, it just got worse. I started experiencing the worst brain fog, like skin rashes. Like I for a while, I experienced like a histamine intolerance. That meant I had to avoid a lot of foods with that had a lot of histamines in them that actually promote, like they will make the histamines in your body just flare up. I don't know how to explain it because it was just a crazy process. It was just a crazy journey that I went through, and the brain fog just got worse and worse, that it got to the point from working 3 part-time jobs, I had to completely stop working. I had to stop working because I got in a really bad car accident. I was at the time I was driving for Uber. I was actually driving somebody to the destination. Let's fast forward that. I started getting the brain fog, And I was like, okay, this is not okay. I go to the doctors. I'm like, why am I getting these brain fogs? And I'm seeing things like there's like, I don't know what they're called, but they're like a lot of specks that I would see, like floaters, like things
okay.
that I would see a lot of that. And I'm like, what is all that? And I would be driving sometimes and I would have to just pull over because I couldn't go any further. I'm like, what is going on? I will eat something and I'm like, what is this ugly fog? And it just would like black out for a while. And sometimes I would just sit there and just knock out.
Wow.
It just wasn't normal. I would call my husband. I'm like, I'm pulled over in the middle of the road. Can you come for me? Or I'll just wait an hour until I get better and I'll go home, you know? That's what I was going through. And they will not give me any answers. I would just I would ask doctors, I'm like, you know, what can I do? And they're like, well, just keep taking your pills. I'm like, but this is not helping me. I feel like a zombie. I just feel worse. And this is not actually improving my health. There has to be another way. There has to be something to help. This doesn't make sense. Well, is this going to go away? And they're like, no, just keep taking your pills. How does that make sense? But intuitively, that just didn't sit well, you know. You know, it's like, but that doesn't sound right. Like, why do I have to keep taking pills and it's not healing me? Like, it just didn't, you know how some things just don't make sense and they don't add up. And I kept praying and praying because I remember, I mean, I didn't get the answers right away. I literally would just cry and just pray and beg because I'm like, okay, I can't work and my health is declining. And I'm just sitting there with all these pills on the table. And I'm like, is this what my life is going to be? This is where I'm headed. Like, what is going to happen to me? Like, I can't work. And then I remember like back to where I was telling you, I was actually driving someone home. I ended up getting into the worst wreck because I thought I'm sitting there waiting for the light to change. And normally I could talk, I could drive, I could eat, and things that you're not supposed to be doing when you're driving. You're supposed to focus on the road, but I could do all these things at once. I could multitask, you know, but it's not good. You know, you have to focus on the road. But I started talking to the girl. I got distracted just by talking to her. My mind was like, okay, I'm talking about, and at the same, what's weird is at the time I was telling her and talking to her about, we were talking about God, actually. We're talking about God always makes like things that happen. God has the perfect timing. He has the perfect plan. There's things that happen we cannot understand why. I ended up getting into that car accident. Not even a minute after I said that, and I'm just like, what does this mean? Like, I don't get it. Why did you do this to me? And that's when I started kind of questioning God. I was so angry with him. I was like, why are you making this happen? You know, I got into the worst wreck. I got T-boned. Ambulance came. I was like, I wrecked my car. I mean, it was just a complete mess. I just didn't have a vehicle anymore. And I was so afraid to even like drive like for a whole year. After that, I was like, okay, what does this mean, Lord? I'm not gonna drive anymore. Am I done working? I was just too, I had so much anxiety towards, I had so much PTSD just driving, you know, trying to drive or being in a vehicle with anybody. I'm like, oh, you know, I would just freeze up and I couldn't. So I would just take Uber, I would walk, I would take buses. I had to learn how to take the bus because I was like, I am not gonna get in the car. And then the Uber rides, you know, those could get pretty pricey. You're trying to go to an audition and, you know, somewhere in LA, in Hollywood, from South Bay. That's where I live. So just trying to go head out there, it was like almost $80 just to go back and forth, you know. So I just had to learn how to take the bus. But it was just a really bad situation for me. I really didn't understand what was happening. And I remember just praying and praying. And finally, I remember like he started answering me little, like, you know, there was like little things that he started doing for me, like, okay, along the way, you know how he answers in threes. Sometimes like things come in threes, like you ask and then they all come in threes. Like for some reason, when I get the answer, they come in threes. I don't know if that happens to you, but I noticed that when I ask God for something, things come in threes for some reason. I'm like, okay, so you want me to go to yoga, or you want me to get acupuncture? Okay, it came in threes. Like, okay, I'll do that. I'll try that. And that's what kind of kept me kind of kept me okay, you know, but it didn't completely take away what I was going through until I went to school, because I started seeing like these ads on Facebook, nutrition, you know, how to heal yourself, how food is medicine, how you could actually, how all these people came from disease, you know, from having diseases to healing their bodies, to healing themselves from, I'm like, could that be possible? I'm like, you know, could that actually happen? That's when I signed up with the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, and that was part of like how everything started with my health journey. So I went to school. I just learned how to eat right. I eliminated things. I did the impossible, you know, just to kind of help myself heal. And I noticed that I was at least, I noticed that it started feeling better within 2 weeks. I got off all the medications within 2 weeks. So within 2 weeks of just doing a vegan, like a diet, like just straight vegan, I got off, because I got off the dairy, I got off the bread, the wheat, the sugar. I just went natural as possible, you know, food from the ground, just food that grows from the ground. Like I'm like, okay, this is how God intended us to eat, you know, we have to eat things that are natural, not processed. So that was like, okay, there were so many things that I just learned, and I opened my eyes to a lot of things that are in our foods. So for me, it was just very mind-blowing. And within 2 weeks, I got off all the medications, what I thought was impossible, you know, but I always had that intuitive part of me was like, this cannot be it. I have to be able to get off all these medications, you know?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Omar, I'm nervous. I don't know if I'm just.
No, what do you mean? You're like, I'm like, this is probably, you know, one of my easiest interviews. You're naturally just like, hey, yeah, take, like, no worries. I mean, yeah, you're heading in the right direction. Unless you want me to interject, I can. Like, the only thing I was gonna say is like, when exactly, like in that journey of finding out about nutrition and all that, is that where you happen to read something that said, oh, maybe the implants are the cause of illness, or that's.
So that's a good question. Feeling, I'm gonna say, getting off the medication, I was at least at 80% better.
Okay.
And I still had a little bit of the mental fog, which didn't completely, the clarity and all that wasn't completely gone. And I noticed that I was able to go back to work. So I'm like, okay, let me get back on the road. I could drive a little bit more. But I noticed that when I would try to drive for more than 3 hours, or work more than 3 hours, I just felt exhausted. I just didn't understand why I felt so tired. Like, I'm like, am I getting old? Like, is this normal? But I noticed people that are older than me. I see people older than me. They do more than me, 10 hours a day. I'm like, they're good. But I was just so tired, drained. Like, what is going on? Like, and actually, you know what? Like, we were actually at a set, like doing background work, and I met somebody there. Her name was, can I say the name?
I mean, yeah, as long as she don't mind, like if she doesn't mind, then.
Her name, she was also holistic, like she was into like the holistic, you know, trying to heal herself like from like natural ways. Absolutely. And I met her. Her name was Sylvia.
Okay.
And I think one time I came in, so she saw me and she's like, I saw you the other day and you were fine, but today you look like you're out of it. Are you okay?
Wow.
And I think she had like she paid attention. She was so aware. She was just like, are you sure you're okay? Because I just was like talking to her and I'm like, I'm zoning out. I'm like, I was not there. I was like, you know, and I go, I'm not really feeling okay. I still feel a little groggy for some reason. And I noticed that when I would eat certain things that I wasn't supposed to, it got worse. So, and I'm like, but this cannot be life. I have to be able to eat a little bit of everything, not just stick to a strict diet. It's just, you know, sometimes I want to live life a little bit. You want to eat things that you're not supposed to, you know, I mean, just like everybody else, you know, you want to have a little bit of piece of cake and, you know, be okay. Yeah. But I just noticed that it was just, when I would eat certain things, I was like, oh my God, it just got worse. And she was like, you know, have you thought about heavy metals? And I'm like, yeah, I actually researched heavy metals. So heavy metals are like toxic in your bodies, right? Oh, wow. We are exposed to heavy metals in the environment, in our food, when we, like the air we breathe. even from our pans that, the things we use to cook, even those
Oh,
are
wow.
like, yeah. So I'm like, she started like suggesting for me to, there's like this type of smoothie that she suggested for me to follow. And I'm like, well, Sylvia, I actually thought about the heavy metals, and when I noticed that when I juice a lot and I do more greens, I feel a lot better, because it's like, I think all that just gets stuck in your liver. It gets stuck in your liver. So you're not detoxing correct, like fast enough. For some people could eat whatever and they're fine, but for some reason I have a hard time detoxing things out. So I need more help. But those implants definitely not helping, because that's actually the number one cause of the heavy metals. The encasing of the breast implant, they have tons of just chemicals and different types of metals. And at one point I remember just getting a little bit worse. So I was kind of like having relapses. I was okay, and then I would have relapses, and I'm like, okay, this is what is going on. Why am I like up and down, up and down? Like, I just feel like I'm going in circles. I'm like, it's like if I do a little bit of this, if I eat a little bit of that, I get so sick, So
Was
like,
was she the one that told you that they had heavy metals, or you found that
No.
out on your own?
I researched that on my own.
Okay.
I started researching, and I remember just asking, because I would like sometimes just beg and cry. I would just beg and cry and pray, like, give me some answers, because I am not getting the answers. Like, why is taking so long? I cannot be going through this. Like, I was just beg and cry. Like, I'm like, wow, what can I do? Because I'm not seeing anything. I mean, I 80% okay, but then I'm like back to like square one. And then I ended up getting vertigo at one point as well. So I wake up, the whole room is spinning.
Yeah.
I end up going to the ER, and they say I have vertigo. And she had already suggested me to do celery juices. So she goes, if you have heavy metals, if you're dealing with heavy metals, and I think that's what it is. And she called it out. She was on it with that. And she goes, I suggest that you do some juicing, like do 16 ounces of celery juice per day. It's going to help you. And I'm like, but I hate celery juice. I don't want celery juice. She goes, just do it. And I just do it. And I'm like, okay, I started researching on that. I'm okay, let me start getting a juicer. Let me start doing that. And I noticed that like in 2 weeks after doing the celery juices, I was like back and running. I'm like, from not being able to like walk down the stairs by myself, because I had to hold on to the rails or hold on to my husband. But in like 2 weeks of doing that, it was actually less than that. I'm sorry. 3 days of doing celery juice.
Wow.
I was running down the stairs. I'm like, wait, I wasn't able to run a minute ago. I was like holding on to the rail, and I was like, just, all like sloppy walking. I just couldn't walk. I couldn't even like read for that long, because I would get exhausted, mentally exhausted, or watch television. I couldn't do a lot of stuff. It was like when you have vertigo, it's like everything spins, so you're like just feeling so dizzy, and you get nauseous easily, So I just remember like after doing that, okay, I'm like, so I'm on the right path, So then, but what is causing these what is causing the heavy metals? Because I feel like I just fill up, my body fills up really quick, So what is caused? So I started like looking into a holistic doctor. I got help from a holistic doctor, because since the Western doctors can't really help me, let me look into other ways, and that's where I found out. And she started doing all these different running tests on me. And she said, let's run a test. Because I told her, I asked her, like, do you think it's the implants causing all these side effects? Like, she goes, it can't be the implants. And I mean, she probably didn't know, she probably just didn't know, wasn't aware of it. And then sometimes, these people sometimes, even though they're holistic doctors, sometimes they won't really tell you what the root cause is, because I'm thinking just maybe they're trying to make their money, I'm going in for treatments, and they're like I was going in for chelation treatments. Every chelation treatment was like almost $300. So every 2 weeks I'm going in for chelation therapies to help me draw the metals, because she had told me I was my mercury levels were dangerously high.
Oh, wow.
So when she ran the test, she goes, your mercury levels are dangerously high. I definitely will recommend the chelation therapy. And I'm like, what is chelation therapy? So that they inject an IV, and then in one of your veins, and then it's just pretty much detoxing like things from your system. And I noticed that I was like, after doing that and getting other types of therapy from her, I noticed within like a few days, I noticed that I was like, oh my God, I'm back in, I'm back into things. I'm running. I'm like I'm driving for hours. I had so much energy. So I'm like, my mind was a little bit more clear. And so I was like, okay, but what is causing this? It doesn't make sense. So that's when I started praying again. And then God's like, okay, you want to know what it is? Is the implants. And I got it in three, once again, in threes. It came in threes. And I'm like, nope, that's not it. I'm like, that can't be it. I was in denial because I'm like, this became part of my image. How am I going to take these out? This has been with me for 10 years. So I just want to hear it. I'm like, I don't want to hear that, God. It's not that. It's not that. I'll just wait a year. If I don't get better, then I will remove them. But for now, I was listening to like on Audible, I was listening to this, she's a holistic a doctor. I think that's what she is. Amy Myers. She was actually talking about heavy metals at the time. And I just came across her page and I'm like, she was talking about heavy metals. I'm like, this is the sign, I keep hearing heavy metals. And she's like, she talked about how she had implants and she removed them. And she's like, I had to remove, they had to go. And I contemplated on it, but I had to get them out of my system because they were making me sick. And I'm like, and I remember at the time, I was like, yeah, but maybe it's something else. I'm like, like, maybe it's something else. Yeah, it was, and I will go on Facebook. I also saw like within those 2 weeks, I saw like Suzanne Somers.
Oh, Suzanne Somers.
She's also an advocate for that. She actually went through the same thing. She had the implants, she removed them, she felt better. She goes, wow, all those symptoms were gone. But I was like, no, it has to be something else. But eventually I got so tired of it. A year passed by. I'm like, I'm going through all these chelations. I'm like, I started doing
you wait after all the signs, you did wait the whole year then?
I waited the whole year because I was like, I wanted to believe that it was something else.
Yeah.
He told me all this. I'm dying. I wanted to, I just wanted to believe that it was something else. I didn't want to remove them, and I contemplated it. It was just a very difficult decision for me to actually make. And but I was just like, you know what? I was like, I started doing more research. I'm like, okay, then after the year passed, I'm like, okay, God, what is it? What is it? Why am I still sick? Then he came back and started answering me in threes, the implants again. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to just start doing all the research. I signed up to all these women forums that actually have been through the same thing. It's like about 70,000 women that actually went through this. And this is not a joke. Like, if there's 70,000 women that have went through this and have reported removing them, and from 20, 30 symptoms have felt better and only have 3 symptoms out of 20, how could it not be that? And I just started listening to more people, opening my mind, doing research, and the encasing of the implant does have the metal. So I'm like, okay, it's time to let them go. It's time. And it's going on 9 months already since I removed them, since I explanted. And it's a gradual improvement. It's not overnight because it takes time, because you had that in your body and it was leaking in your bloodstream for that long. It cause a lot of damage. There's some things that are not repairable. And that's why I'm like, I'm speaking today, because it's like, it took me a while for me to even come out of my shell. I was like, I don't know how to talk about this, should I keep it to myself? But then I just posted it on Facebook. I actually posted and you saw it,
Yeah.
I posted this whole post about it. I'm like, people have to know, women have to know, because somebody knows somebody that's going through this. You got to get them out.
no, and thank you for being so brave to talk about it. Obviously, it's something I wouldn't like. Once we talked about it, then I researched it a little bit too, because obviously it's something I would never go through. But it makes sense. I mean, I even heard of someone saying that, you know, they rather die with them than, even if it was a health concern. And I'm just like, you know, I'm mind blown. So I mean, I know it's hard to talk about, and like how you stated, even in what you posted, especially being an actress, and how you said it became part of your image. So I'm sure that made the decision that much harder when it's something maybe you feel helps you get work and this and that, right? Like, so even making that decision, like I know it was extremely hard, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, it was difficult.
so I did want to ask you, when you first got them, if you don't mind talking about it, what even made you get them to begin with, right? What was it that was going through your mind when you first got them?
Well, you know, at the time I was modeling. I actually, that's how I started. I didn't start acting. I was kind of like, well, I was doing like background work and stuff, but you know, I wasn't really pursuing. I was kind of interested in acting, but not as much as modeling. Modeling was just, for me, that was everything at the time. And you know, I remember like coming across someone, and I remember like this agent submitted me to these magazines, and then the guy had said, well, the one that actually saw my photos said, um, if she had them bigger, you know, I will hire her.
Wow.
She's really pretty, but I just, you know, she had them bigger. And then I had another photographer that told me the same thing. You should get implants. It will help your career, boost your career. And, you know, and you should color your hair a little bit lighter and get contact. I'm like, oh, really? Do you want me to bleach my skin too? Like, what is it?
Wow.
Not a wet arm, you know, but, and I guess all this just, you know, it's garbage. It's a lot of, it's a lot of things that when you're young and vulnerable and you're trying to get into the industry and that's all you hear, it's kind of like depressing. And it was like, am I not going to make it? You know, if I don't do this, if I don't alter my body, if I don't, you know, make changes, and am I not going to book work? Am I not going to succeed? You know, but it's just terrible. It's difficult for women, you know, what we have to go through. It's, you know, and then I just kind of stuck with them for 10 years. And then I left modeling. I got tired of it. And then I just wanted something a little bit more challenging for me. And I started acting. And after acting, it's kind of like you don't really need them because there's women that actually are smaller.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I've just seen so many actresses that, yeah, like you said, they don't need them, you know.
Need them.
Obviously, like, you know, I feel like we're created with, you know, like everybody, we all have certain things that maybe, you know, you at one point you're like, oh, I wish I had this or that or this, but you know,
Yeah.
we all learn the, like, you know, like I remember even once seeing this, you know, someone that was competing in the Olympics, right? And she had like really small breasts, and you know, she had kind of a big nose. And I remember, you know, when I was working at a car dealership, they literally made the grill of the car, you know, what would have been like big nostrils. And it was because somehow when the more air ran into it, it made the car run better. I had never heard that. And the guy that was training us on the car literally said like, oh, well, you never seen people with like the big nostrils? Like they make better runners because they're able to take in all that air. So when I seen her on TV in the Olympics with the big old nostrils, and you know, she had like, oh, that makes sense. You know, God created her perfect for that. You know what I mean? Like she was meant to be, and she got like number 2. She got like second place. You know, and so it made sense. I was like, wow, see this guy, he wasn't playing when he said that, like, you know, years before. So, you know, just to say, I'm always an advocate that, you know, we're made perfect regardless of you know, how we're made. But even I was reading like how you said all those things that you said, like right here it says, you know, some women with breast implants have developed autoimmune disorders, fatigue, memory loss, mental confusion, joint pain, mood swings, and even hair loss. So it's like, I mean, I would have never thought to look that up had you not mentioned that. Did you get any of those symptoms too, like the the mood swings? Yeah, right. It kind of went with it with the.
Yeah, like when you have so much when you have so much, and that's another thing I want to touch, I want to talk about, when I have so much of the heavy metals, because they're obviously they're going to the brain and the body. But when I had a lot of that, I remember just being so much angry. Like I was
Oh,
just so
wow.
angry. Like at times I would just have rages, and I'm like just not understanding that it was just so much going on in my brain that I would get so exhausted easily. I would snap easily, and I was just like, why am I enraged? And then why am I like, why do I feel so depressed? Like I'm always tired, depressed, anxious, even more anxiety. When
Wow.
you're dealing with that, when everybody's exposed to heavy metals, but the thing is the amounts that I had were ridiculous. For
Wow.
you to have these blackouts and not function like correctly, that's just danger zone, definitely danger zone. But it does affect the mood, definitely affects your mood, your hormones. Some women report other things like, just depends on your genetic makeup. They report other things like lupus.
Oh, wow.
Some women get cancer, they actually develop cancer because of the implants, and they have to remove them. Just depends on your predisposition. I also read up on, and this is some part of the research I did, the women that have a lot of the more of the symptoms, they have what is it called, MTHFR. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but it's a MTA. Do you remember what it's called? Sorry. MTHFR. They call it the mother. Can I cuss?
Yeah.
They call it the motherfucker gene.
Oh.
That's what they call it. MTHFR. When you have that mutation, the women have even more symptoms. Like their bodies are rejecting those implants, so that's when they develop even more diseases, because your body has a hard time getting those toxins out of the body. So it's already struggling with a lot. So the women that have that gene mutation, and actually did like a 23andMe, it was like a gene test, genome test.
Yeah.
I did a test, and it's a 40 pages. And this is through all the brain fog I was going through. I'm like, how am I going to understand this? This is a lot to read. But I would just read through it. There was times where I was just, okay, in the morning I feel better. I haven't ate. I'm still like, okay, let me read in the morning because my brain is a little bit more sharp. At night, I'm exhausted. Through the evening and night, there's no way I'm going to read. There's no way. I even had to stop acting because I couldn't even read a script or memorize a script or even function. I had to get away from acting. And that's my dream right there. How am I going to get away from my dream? So, but that test told me a lot. Once I figured it out, it's like a doctor could read it for you and be easier. But I was like, well, I don't want to pay for a doctor to do it. I'll just do it myself. And I'll learn along the way. So I learned I had that type of gene, and you get that from the father and the mother. But women with that type of gene have the worst time. And there's women that could have them for I know another girl, she got them around the same time I got them. And I contacted her, I asked her, do you have any symptoms? She's like, no, I'm fine.
Oh, wow.
And she doesn't have anything going on with her. So it just depends on your genetic makeup and your disposition, That's pretty good.
And they never do these tests beforehand, right? Like there's nothing.
I heard that they're trying to start something like that. They're trying to start that because it will. I actually heard on YouTube a lady. She was a doctor, and she was talking about how there's talks about that they want to do that for women before they get the implants. But I don't know how long that's going to take to even happen, but they want to do that because of all the women that are suffering from the BII. So they want to start doing these tests, so then that you could let the the women know, well, if you do this is what's going to happen. You have these consequences, and it's best to actually, that would be great. Oh my God, you will save so many heartache. 10 years, I feel like I just wasted so much time, being sick. It's terrible. It's terrible.
And they said, see, like right now, I know it's a little over a $2 billion industry, and they say by 2026 it's gonna be close to $3 billion. So obviously, it just keeps going up and up and up, the business. So, you know, they don't want to stop, obviously, right? They're not gonna stop. Like, oh yeah, you want them, we'll do them. You know, because obviously someone's making money off of it. So I mean, hopefully that does go through, right? That they're able to put something where, I mean, it'd be nice if they made it mandatory, right? That people had to take this. Because I even read about how even like there's a 2 to 3 times increased suicide risk. So that means, I don't know if it's related to just expect, because it talks about here, I think everything they try to curve it away from the as much as possible, right? Because they said hasn't even been that many deaths associated with it. But maybe just because, like you said, if someone gets cancer from it, then they'll label it as, oh, they died of cancer. It had nothing to do with the implant. It was the cancer or some other illness, right?
Cover it up, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like literally it said there were like 50 deaths or something. But like you said, how about, did you read the same thing, or were you able to find that there were more deaths from it?
I haven't done that type of research.
Yeah, I was just looking.
That you're doing it.
Yeah, I was looking at all that, and so I'm not sure on the, it was like from 2021 or something, and it said like 50 deaths or something, but I'm sure they're not including like, oh, if someone got cancer, someone this, if the suicide even, right? Like I think it was just direct, because they even said how a girl, a teenager, they actually charged the doctor that performed the breast implants on a teenager that just died, not either last year or the year before, but it was a teenager, and the doctor did them on her, and then she died. She fell into a coma, I think, and I don't know if they pulled the plug, or I didn't completely.
During the surgery?
How
does it?
Yeah, I got it. Well, yeah. After when they did the implants, she fell into a coma. Yeah. So when they were doing the implants, you know, this was a girl that was still a teenager, so she was underage even. So,
oh my God,
the doctor got charged. Yeah, he got charged. But it even shows, like, that's the sad part, like that a girl still growing, still developing, as a teenager already feels some kind of pressure to even do that and I mean, whoever, even so bad on the doctor, I hope her parents weren't complicit in that. I hope her parents, I'm gonna read after too. Just when I was reading all the stuff, like even that came up, you know, even before we did the interview, I wanted to read a little more, but since I had like such a busy, you know, past week, I didn't get to go too deep into everything. So
wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like, why even like perform surgery on a teenager? Like that doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
that's crazy. That's so sad. Like, yeah, society just is so much pressure with, you know, the image and how you look. You just gotta learn how to accept yourself, you know, and that's something that took me a while. Like, I'm still learning. Like, to this day, I'm still trying to accept myself, you know, and love myself. And it's things that happen when you're growing up, you know. Sometimes you go through so many things, so many traumas, and they kind of mess you up for the rest of your life. You just have to work through them and just learn to love yourself and appreciate yourself. Because like I would have never imagined like that if I would have had a crystal ball and I could see everything that was gonna happen if I got these implants, I would have thought twice. I would have been nope. No, but at the time I was so fixated, like, nope, I want that, and that's all I want, and I'm gonna do it no matter what, you know. And I'm thinking about it, like, I mean, back then when I did ask the doctor, is it safe? And he said yes, it's safe. I'm just wondering, like, what if he would have said it's not safe? Like, would I still went through with it? Because I was like, what, 10 years ago? My mindset was different, you know. You mature, like, you know, through time, you end up, you know, learning and then realizing things and maturing, and just what you wanted 10 years ago, you don't want today. So things change. So I'm just wondering if he would have told me it's dangerous, it's toxic, you still want them. I wonder what I would have said, because I wanted them so, at the time it was like, that's all I could dream about. That's all I wanted, you know, and I just wasn't happy at the time.
But do you feel it was because of that? Because how you were going to photographers or this, and they were putting it in your head, or were you like, did you feel insecure to where you wanted them, or it was more that like
it was from both ends.
From both
insecurities ends. what society portrays, like what they present in the media, and then what photographers are pressuring you to do, like, telling you, oh, you should do this, you should get implants. If you only have implants, I will book you for this cover, I will book you for this, you will have more work. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, it's
that's
crazy.
no, but I mean, I just trip out, like, because when I was young, I didn't see it. So now some of the things I see just look very cartoonish. Like I went to the grocery store and there was this girl whose lips were like, I was like, because I felt like they were gonna hit me in the eyes. Like her lips were just so. I was like, why would someone do that to themselves? Like, I just can't see that someone would look at that and think like, like I get all the right, like how you say, like the implants and this and that, like how they pressure you. Oh, that's gonna, obviously boost your career and this and that and that. But like now to the level it's gotten to where that, like, to have these lips that look like, yeah, I just don't get that, or even like there's other, other things that get done and it's like, it trips me out,
You're behind.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. But to where the point where it just looks like abnormal. Yeah. To that point. So it shows that society, there's something obviously wrong with the way they're, I don't know what makes, I get it. Well, yeah, obviously I want to know more from your perspective since you actually have been through that. That's why.
Yeah.
So
I think like, just people, the thing is, doing things in moderation. I think, everything in moderation, but when it comes to implants, I really don't have much to say about moderation because it made me sick. So I can't, for myself, and for other women that want to do it, I mean, that's on them, but yeah, I mean, moderation. Like, if you're going to do something with your body, make it look natural, make it look nice. Don't go to an extreme, I have, boobs up to here. And you see that sometimes, and that goes for women's lips. Like sometimes they just have, it's too much. Like, if they look like they're going to explode, like, what's going on? I mean, that's on people. I don't judge anyone. I know I shouldn't be like, I know that's probably wrong on me to have done that. But that's how you feel. I mean, that's how you feel. I mean, it is what it is. And if they look, and that's just not, it's not, I don't understand how they even, like, if say, for instance, like I go to you to do my lips, right? Say, for instance, you're the, what is it, esthetician? No, that's what they're called, right? Say, for instance, I keep going to you for lips, and they just look bigger every time I go. Why do you keep filling my lips if they look crazy? Like, isn't there like a limit? Stop. Just,
yeah.
No, I don't know.
No, and that shows on both ends how greedy people are, that they're like, you know what? I know this isn't probably good for you, but I'm gonna keep. Hey, you're paying me. I'm gonna keep doing it. So yeah, it's on both ends, right? The fact that someone feels that pressure, that they feel this is what they need to feel better or whatever, and then the fact that someone is willing to do it, even though maybe they feel they know that it's really not the healthiest thing, and they'll keep doing it anyway. So now, looking back on everything, you're feeling better. I mean, what's your process now, like, after everything that's happened?
As far as energy goes,
I mean,
my God. As long as I'm able to work for longer than 3 hours, I noticed lately I just been like working like 8 hours, and wow. I'm like, I'm good. I'm like, I'm not as tired when I'm driving, because before I would drive and I'm like, okay, I'm nauseous, I'm tired. I'm like, oh my God, I went to LA, came back, I am done. I just couldn't. Now I'm just like, I'm on fire. I'm like, I'm driving here, I'm driving there. I'm like, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I feel so much energy. Like, even in my workouts, I'm more productive,
Wow.
I'm able to like pull through with things. I'm just not as, before I would just kind of like not make excuses, but that's the way I felt at the time. And I think people will try to, tell me, let's go do this, let's go do that. Well, I would think about, well, I can't do this. I can't eat around this time. If I have this, I can't eat. I can't do that because I'm going to feel like this. you know, and I still kind of struggle with a little bit of the brain fog. Like right now, I'm not completely 100% clear, but it's a lot better than before. And I do see like a gradual, like improvement. You know, it's a lot of the girls, they say that within like a year, sometimes 6 months to a year, they start feeling better, you know. And for me to have my energy back, that's amazing. That's everything for me, because you can't make money, you can't be as productive and you're exhausted, you know. And I remember there was a time where I just couldn't do my scripts. Like I would go to acting classes before COVID happened, and I would go to the acting studio and I'll be in front of the class, and I was just, oh my God, I cannot say the lines. Like I would just have a lot of memory problems. And the teacher was like, he saw me struggling. He's like, just sit down. It's okay. Just go sit down. Because he saw like, you're not okay. You know, you really need to sit down. And that's when I just got away from acting, and I have to focus on my health. And I went to school, and it kind of was like hanging in there, you know. And through the chelations and all that, I was able to like kind of keep going as far as acting goes. I was just kind of, you know, doing all that, but I see gradual improvement. I saw photos and my skin actually glows more compared to the way I looked before, because I looked so tired, and my face was dull, like the skin was just like it just looked like I was sick, you know. And I saw like a huge improvement like after removing them. Like, and I actually saw the plastic surgeon, the guy that took the implants out. I actually saw him a few days ago, and he told me, you look like you're glowing. So that's good. You know? Yeah. So
No,
yeah,
and I love how you said that, you know, even when you got you know, how God answered you, you know, he showed you. And so I love that spiritual aspect, but how you were still resistant. And I think,
yes.
yeah, I think even when we're showing things, we're always resistant, right?
Girl, yes. I was like, I'm not ready for this. And he's like, but I'm answering you. You just don't want to see it. Like we sometimes don't want to accept it or see, or we don't, it's not the answer we want, you know? And we're like resisting, like, no, no, it's like a fit. No, it's not that.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Like, you know, there was a time where I had so much anger towards the Lord. I just felt like after that car accident, the huge car accident that I had, where I totaled my car and I almost killed myself and I almost killed other people. Oh my God. Like I noticed like there was like, wait, what was I gonna say? I went blank, sorry, Omar.
No, you're good. You're good.
What was I gonna say?
Yeah.
See?
No. I mean, regardless, I hope you know, other women get inspired by your story. You know, I think it's really important to share this story, because, you know, even me, like I would never, I have no say in this, right? And I know so many women that have had or have implants too, right? And so, you know, I guess I've always been curious, you know, but I don't really want to ask people. I'm not intrusive in that way, you know, because I to me, like I've even written songs about that, right? Like you know, and obviously tailored it to more to like brown women, right? Like I've written that in a song where I said like, hey, they're beautiful brown queen. Why you looking down? Hey, you don't need no enhance, or how does it go? Beautiful brown queen, why you look? I don't know, but it's about like you don't need no enhancements. You enhance the world just being here, and it just breaks my heart every time I see you tears. But I'm referring to that, like you don't need all this stuff, because to me it is a cultural thing, right? And no disrespect to like, you know, other cultures, right? But for our culture, it's like there's so many beautiful things about our culture, and I know all these things that we adopt weren't originally from our culture. You know what I mean? Like there's just so many things that I see. You know, so I've always been someone that appreciates, you know, beauty the way it's created. Like everyone's beautiful in their way, you know, all this stuff, right? So I just like maybe that if someone else is suffering through that and maybe hasn't looked into that, hopefully you'll open their eyes to that, right? Like
definitely, yes. And it's, I like what you're saying about going piggybacking off what you're saying. I feel like if there's something foreign in your body, it's not gonna go well. It's not gonna go well. Like God didn't create us with things in our body, implants those don't belong in your body. So eventually it's gonna cost something. It's gonna probably, even if you don't have symptoms, like it might age you rapidly. It's just gonna, it's just gonna age you rapidly, because that's what metals do. Heavy metals age you rapidly. They're toxic. Things that are in those casings of the implants are like heavily toxic. So if it doesn't give you all these other symptoms, it might age you rapidly, and you might start having other problems later, maybe when you're like 20 years down the line. And you might not even realize or correlate that that's what it is. You just won't. Maybe your symptoms are not as bad as other women or myself, but it's just not going to go well. Nothing foreign in belongs in the body, and I just didn't see it like that way. I'm like, God, you created me the way I'm supposed to be created. Thank you. I had to come to terms with myself and just have him, like, I pray to him, and I'm like, I'm sorry, please forgive me. Like, after removing them, I'm like, please forgive me, God, that I did this, because I mutilated myself. I put him through so much, Yeah. So
no, well, thank you. Like, and I know, see, I would love to have you on again, because you have so many spiritual stories too. Like, so that's why I like that once you prayed, you got your answers, because you have so many spiritual stories, and I don't want to keep you here forever. That's why, like, we'll stick to this subject for now, but if you come on again, I'd love to talk about like your spiritual stories, because you just have so many, and that's why I'm really happy that you were, that they communicated with you, or God communicated with you in this way to give you the answers that what was wrong.
It's amazing. He does answer. And I was so, like I said, I was so angry for a while. I was so miserable. I remember, like, when I came home from that car accident, I was like just crying, and like from the top, like just like in the room yelling, like, why God? She's like, you don't exist. I was so mad.
Wow.
But when I said that, it's crazy. When I said that, my husband was in the room. He's like, stop saying that. The light started flickering.
Oh, wow.
Remember he's here. The light was like, and I'm like, what was that?
Oh, wow.
He goes, see, you need to stop. You need to stop saying that. I don't want you talking like that. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but I should just, why are you doing this to me? Why? Now I don't have a car. Well, there's a reason why you took the car away from me, because if I kept the car, I was going to keep doing what I was doing, driving around and putting myself and other people in danger,
Wow.
Like, there's a reason why I had to go through all those things, I had to lose the jobs. There's a reason. Heal, get yourself right, heal, focus on you, and heal, and then go back to what you're doing, what you want to do, and you're acting and you're driving. And there's a plan. He has a plan. And I just didn't get it at the time. I was like, yeah, you don't get it when you're going through all these things. You don't really see. You're like, why am I going through this? But later you're like, oh, okay, I get it.
Wow.
But definitely, like, I would love to come back and talk about like other things, spiritual things.
No, absolutely. No, yeah. No, so thank you so much. Like, I feel like there's so much bravery that it takes to talk about these things. So I'm honored to have had you on. Unless there's anything else you want to add.
Is there any more questions you have? I can't think, man. I can't remember anything else.
No, I mean, I wanted to know about your journey. You already, stated why you got them to begin with, what it was like, and I think that was very important to talk about all the symptoms you were going through, from the brain fog to feeling tired to feeling ill and searching, and the fact that the doctors would just keep giving you pills. Like, they would have just had you like that had you not searched for answers elsewhere, or even gotten answers when you prayed. They would have just kept you on the pills. You know what I mean? I went through something similar, and I couldn't really explain it, like with my whole sciatic nerve problem, right? I'm over 50% better now. And the same, I went through chiropractor, acupuncture. Someone that helped me a lot was a healer, right? They were doing healing on me. I did my first Reiki session recently, and it was mind-blowing, like, to do the Reiki, like, the person, when they're ready, it was kind of like I was probably one of the first people they've done it on. And I guess they got their certification, like to be a Reiki master. Yeah. And so they did it, and I could feel all their energy. And as they were doing it, I had my eyes closed and I was seeing the colors of the different chakras, like in my mind's eye. I was like, had my eyes closed, and I'm seeing the purple for the crown and the blue for the throat. And I'm like, wow, this is real. You know, like, so it's crazy.
The colors become more vivid.
Yeah, but it's just crazy. Like, well, there's no explanation. Like, she didn't have a flashlight with different colors, nothing. So I'm seeing this as she's doing this, and feeling the energy. Like, my crown was like lighting up, like, you know, it was like a Christmas tree, right? As she's doing this, and even on my chest. So it was crazy to think, like, even the fact that maybe all this sciatic nerve pain even could have been correlated with my heart, right? Because when she went over my heart, it felt tight, like really tight. Like there was just this tightness to it, right? And you know, it was just like, you know, and then she explained we went over everything she felt, like where she felt the most things, and where I was telling her like what I was feeling, you know, but all these things, right? I went through all that because the doctors, I have so many things of pills that I never even took, that they would just kept giving me from the sciatic nerve. That's it. That would have been it. Just here, take these pills. And the pills made me feel nasty. Like I took them the first couple times and they just made me feel nasty, like tired, groggy, sometimes uncomfortable. So it's like, it's mind blowing that they'll just, you know, have you on them forever. You know, and they kept messaging me for your refill, your refill, your refill, your refill, your refill. Like endless. They don't have no problem giving me the refill.
Yeah, they make money off the prescription drugs and all that stuff, keeping us just sick and blinded to the real, you know, to the truth. I mean, it's just, that's what they do. I mean, I don't have nothing against doctors. I mean, they're there for a purpose, and I like to go to doctors so they could let me know what's going on with my body. As long as I know what's going on with my body, I know what to do now. Now I come in, and with the divine intuition, you know, with divine intervention, and then with the knowledge I receive, I just do what I have to do. I'm going to take what I have to do. This herb for this herb for that, and that's God's gift. You know, food is medicine. So everything that He created for us heals our bodies. You know, and that's what I have to do. I know what to do. As long as I know what's going on in my body, that's all I need. You know, but if you're guessing, sometimes it's kind of like, sometimes you kind of like, you do listen to the body because it's giving you like little signs and warning signs. But then you listen to your body. Okay, something is not right. Why do I feel like this? Listen, you know, you quiet down. You're like, what are you trying to tell me, body? Like, what are you trying to tell me? You know, you just have to ask it. But if you keep stuffing it with like drugs, it's like you're just telling it, shut up. You know, numb the pain, numb this. It's just gonna numb it. You know, if you ask your body, okay, what are you trying to tell me? Like, what's going on? You know, that's the best thing to do, is ask yourself, because, you know, things will come, you know, and if you're spiritual, things will come, you know, and that's the thing. Like, doctors are really good. They give you they let you know they're good when it comes to operating. That's what they're good for, you know. But I just kind of stay away from all the medications because I don't like feeling groggy. And even the doctor told me on set one day, he was there. He was actually on set working. And he goes, and I was kind of telling him my story, how I got off all the medication. And he himself, he said, anything a doctor gives you, don't take it.
Wow.
And I'm like, this coming from a doctor.
Wow.
Garbage. Don't take it. Don't take it. And I'm like, why were you taking all those pills? I go, because I believe what you guys were telling me. You guys, you know, you're wearing the white coat. You know, you went to school, you're educated about this stuff. So I'm listening to what you're telling me, you know. And he goes, but something told me deep down inside, this is not right. Don't stop taking them and go find answers elsewhere. You know, there was like that intuition thing kicks in, and you're like, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't sit right. This doesn't make sense. Like, that's when you start questioning, and then you start looking for your own answers. And always listen to that little voice. We have to listen to that little voice, because if we don't listen, it doesn't go well. That awareness is everything. That's one thing the school taught me, awareness. If you have awareness, you'll make it in this life. If you don't have awareness, you're just not going to really make it in this life.
Oh, absolutely. No, and then just the disclaimer. Obviously, we're not medical professionals and this and that. So, each to each, I guess, consult your physician or whatever they say. But
Yeah.
obviously it's our stories of, like, especially like you
stories,
sharing. Yeah. And well, there is research to back it up now. That's why I like that now more people are coming forward. I know there's gonna obviously be pushback from pharmaceutical companies and this and that, right? Like, obviously they're always gonna push back. Um, I won't get into the whole thing that happened during the pandemic but I think even then, right? Like, there was a lot of that now. Then after people, I don't know, people have tried to sue, but I think they really can't sue because there were so many um things written into, like, hey, take all this, and if there's side effects, well, too bad. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. I think there was a lot of things. I won't get into that because I don't have all the
information.
Yeah, the information right now. But just with everything, right? Everything I like. Well, you said it perfectly. I really don't even need to. The way you said it was perfectly, because just everything you went through on your journey, and even having a doctor tell you, like, hey, don't take,
Anything we give you, girl.
Yeah, that's mind blowing. Yeah. So,
Listen, don't do it. Stay away from it.
but I definitely agree. Like, yeah, obviously when they do surgery on that, doctors obviously have their benefits, or their
The place, yeah.
yeah, they definitely do. But I agree with that about, like, the pharmaceutical, like that, when they're just putting you on pills to numb. That's the word you use. So that's the perfect way of saying it. When it's to just numb, and it's never getting fixed, it's never, like, it just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. So
it doesn't. I don't know if I could say like another story.
yeah, of course,
We have
absolutely.
time. Okay. Um, this is something that had happened to my husband when we came back from honeymoon. From our honeymoon, he developed so many what was it, gallbladder, gallstones.
Oh, wow.
He had tons of gallstones, and it just happened to be, we were like just chilling at a family party, and we were eating everything there, because you know how it is in the culture. We eat, they have tacos, they have beer, they have you could think of, cake. And I was like, you need to stop drinking. I told him, stop drinking. And he kept pounding them in those drinks. But that night, oh my God, I remember he knocked out, he went to bed. When I woke up at 8 a.m., he wasn't next to me. I was like, he wasn't in the bed. I was like, I started panicking. I started calling him. What happened? Where are you? I started calling his sister, the father. They haven't heard from him. I'm like, and I'm calling and blowing up his phone. He's not answering the phone. And I'm like, what is going on? Finally, we end up finding out where he's at. I think that we were calling different, like, nearby hospitals to see if he was somewhere in the hospital, because I know that he was before he fell asleep, he was saying he didn't really feel too well anymore. So that's when I put two and two together. Well, he was saying he didn't feel too well and he passed out. So maybe we started looking at hospitals, and then we finally located where he was at. We went to the hospital, and this is around COVID. So they didn't let them in. They just let me in because I'm the wife. And I went into the room where he was at, and he was like pretty much like in pain, crying. And I had never seen him crying like the way he was crying. He was like a little baby, like just crying in pain. He was like, wow. Oh, the pain was just so excruciating and I was like, why are they not doing anything to him? Like, I kept asking nurses, what's going on? Well, we can't find anything. We really can't find anything yet. And we already checked. They did all the vitals, the kidneys, the heart, the liver. We can't find nothing. And I'm like, but just seeing him the way he was crying in that much pain, it was breaking my heart. I'm like, and I'm like, nurse. That's when I did that. That's when I said, nurse, somebody needs to please put something, give him something for the pain. Give him, what did I say? What was that? Sorry, I'm trying to remember all the facts. He don't remember because he was out of it, but it was,
like,
I said
morphine or something.
Morphine, give him some morphine. I was like, I started like just going crazy because I just didn't want him to be like that. So that's when I was okay with when that happened. It was okay. Like, when you see somebody going through that, that's when it's like, okay, you need to give him something because he's not okay. give him some morphine. And they came, and then they were trying to like just calm him down. And the doctor just came, the doctor had came in, and he was pretty much like, well, we don't see anything wrong with him.
Wow.
Like, yeah. And I was like, okay. But before the doctor had came in, I started just, because I was panicking, and I was like, okay, I need to do something. I closed my eyes. And this is something I learned with the Silva, what is this? It's called a Silva mind control. It's like this system that helps you tap into your intuition. Wow. And if you already have intuition and you're already good with that, it just makes it more enhanced. I remember just doing what I had learned in that session that I had learned with the Silva mind method. I closed my eyes. I started like touching where it was hurting. I was kind of going over the part that was hurting him. And I just started coming to me. Things started coming to me. And I'm like, stones. Like I just seen like little stones. And then when the doctor came in, I'm like, I think, can you please check his gallbladder? I think it's the gallbladder. It can't be that. All the symptoms don't indicate that is that.
Wow.
Just check the gallbladder, please. Just check it, because it just came to me, you know. And then that's when they did the checkup. They did the ultrasound. They did the ultrasound, and they saw like hundreds of stones, just hundreds of stones, and they're like, "Yep, you were right." I don't know how. It was just so crazy, and that's the way that ended. Like it was just like, okay, now I know what's going on with my husband. I'm gonna do whatever it takes. I was sitting there researching for 4 hours how to help him with the gallstones and the diet for gallstones and what to take and what not to take and what to avoid. We got him back on track, because if he would have kept that up, it was a possible like surgery or something, you know? So to me, that was just amazing, and how the Lord works. If you quiet your mind down, he'll come. He'll answer you, and things come to you, you know? It's just amazing how that I haven't experienced that again, because I've been so busy. I don't really quiet down, but when you quiet down, that's when answers come to you.
Oh, that's amazing. No, thank you for sharing that. Absolutely. Yeah. And so everything's been good since then? Like there's no.
Yeah, everything's been good with him. Celery juices every day. And yeah, just kind of like, we just watch our diet. We just try to watch what we eat. We will enjoy life. We will go out and eat other things, hamburgers, but not every day, you know, not on a constant basis, because I feel icky if I do that. And, you know, I did have like, I had like garlic noodle the other day, and I don't eat, you know, noodles because of the gluten, and just don't feel too great. I have a gluten sensitivity, but I ate that and it was delicious. My stomach was killing me the next day, you know. But I was like, okay, now I know why I don't eat this stuff, you know. But it's like, you just gotta pay attention. That's all we have to do. Just we eat something, we do something. Okay, well, how do I feel? You know, and that's another thing that because when I was going through all this, and I was listening to your story, which was amazing, about the Reiki healer. That's part of the healing as well. I went to a Reiki healer, because I was like, okay, like I'm going through all these ugly symptoms. Maybe you could help me. I don't know. And that was just kind of like something that, you know, happened. And I remember going to this lady, and she was doing the same thing, that, you know, close your eyes. And I started seeing like a lot of the blue, the indigo color. It's like a beautiful indigo color. And I asked her, what is this indigo color? Let me turn this on. What is this indigo color? Oh, I'm opening your, what is it? The crown? It was something here. I'm opening.
The crown, the third eye.
Yeah, I was like, and that's when I started seeing the color. Like, it was like, I've never seen these colors before. Even when I was awake, I would see sometimes colors like, did you see that? I would tell my husband, did you see that? Nope. But that's one thing she told me. She did tell me, you don't trust. That's one thing she told me. You don't trust. I'm like, what are you talking about? I trust. And then she goes, no, you don't. She goes, you don't trust. And if you keep that up, you're just not going to heal. You're not going to get better. You need to trust. And you have an army of angels helping. Normally you have people have like one or two. You have an army of angels. And I'm like, what? She goes, but you need to trust them that they're trying to help you. You just don't trust them. You don't. And I was like, this is crazy. Like, what is she talking about? I just didn't get it after she said it. You know, you start like, it starts like simmering in there, and you're like thinking about it, and you're like, oh wow, maybe she's right. I don't, because I'm always like tense. I'm always, you know, even after that accident, I'm always like, you know, paranoid. I'm always like trying to, I noticed like when I started trying to get back on the road, I would get so anxious because, you know, all these cars, and I'm like, oh my God, I started panicking, and I'm like, no, God, it's okay. I'm safe. And I just had a little prayer, and I'm safe. Life loves and supports me. I'm safe in the universe, you know, and I would just do all that, and I would just breathe and calm down. It will go away. You know, it's just, it was just crazy though, how, you know, he answers though. It's definitely amazing how he answers. So we just have to, you know, pay attention.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Thank you. No, and I got chills when you talked about the army of angels and all that like that. So that's, you know, that's beautiful. And yeah. So thank you so much for sharing that amazing story, you know.
Thank you. So, thank you for having me.
No, absolutely. And I guess on that note, we'll end it there, because I definitely want to have you back on. So, you know, we'll talk about more of the stories.
Yes. I had so much fun talking. I thought it was going to be difficult, but
no, you did great. So
it's a safe space. You make it so easy for us to, you know, for me to just open up and just talk, you know. You make it easy. And I know I've seen your other interviews that you have with other people, and they're really interesting. Like, they're definitely really interesting. It's a lot of like spiritual things going on, you know. It's really interesting to hear all that. You make us feel comfortable more. I enjoyed my time.
Thank you so much. Okay, so thank you everybody for watching. And is there anything you want to promote, or anywhere where you want people to see your acting stuff or anything like that? I mean, I could always leave the link in the description if you decide later you want people to.
Yeah, I have if I remember, let me see correctly. It's Linktree what? Oh, Linktree/Amazing Roxy. And okay. I just opened that yesterday. That's why I didn't remember. And it has it has all my there's like different things you can see, like YouTube channel. You see my acting profiles, and so definitely.
Perfect. And I'll put the link in the description regardless. So okay. Thank you so much. It was an honor.
Take care. Okay.
You
in
too.
touch. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. That's right. Yeah, sometimes you just feeling it, you know what I'm saying? You just feeling it. And I want to feel this way forever.